He dismissed my son's pain, then slid into my DMs like nothing happened. I thought I was paranoid until he showed up at my window. I don't even know where to start with this because every time I think about it, my stomach tightens up like I'm about to throw up. Maybe I'll just start with the obvious. My son, Evan, is 14, and he's everything to me. I had him young, 21, barely finishing college, and it's been him and me against the world since. His dad dipped out before Evan was even born, so I've played both roles, the fun parent, the strict one, the one who packs his lunch, and also lectures him about saving his allowance. Evan's a good kid. Quiet, kind of anxious sometimes, but smart. Like really smart. He just shuts down when he feels embarrassed. Math has always been that trigger. It's like the moment a problem doesn't click, his brain flips a switch, and suddenly he's convinced he's stupid. I've spent years trying to undo that voice in his head. So when he started struggling this year, I wasn't surprised. What did surprise me was how fast his teacher, Mr. Daniels, gave up on him. Mr. Daniels is in his mid-30s, maybe? He's one of those teachers who seems like he's trying to be everyone's cool older brother. I met him at the start of the semester. Tall, easy smile, a little too confident. I didn't think much of it then. But as the weeks went by, Evan's grades tanked. I'd ask what was going on, and he'd mumble something like, "He just doesn't help me, Mom," or, "He says I should already know this." I emailed. I called. I even requested a meeting. When we finally sat down in his classroom, Mr. Daniels leaned back in his chair like I was inconveniencing him. He said, "Evan's a bright kid, but he's not applying himself. Sometimes kids just need a push." That word, push, it stuck with me. Because Evan doesn't need a push. He needs patience. I left that meeting holding back tears, mostly because I felt like I was failing as a mom. Like maybe Mr. Daniels was right. Maybe I wasn't pushing hard enough. But that night, I found Evan sitting on his bed, staring at a worksheet he'd half crumpled in frustration. When I asked him what happened, he just said, "He makes me feel dumb, Mom." Something in me snapped. The next morning, I wrote a detailed email to the school. I attached copies of every message I'd sent, every assignment Evan had asked for help with and never gotten feedback on. I didn't want to ruin anyone's career. I just wanted someone to listen. A week later, the principal called. They transferred Evan to another math class. She said they'd review the concern. I thought it was over. Then, 3 nights after that, I got a Facebook notification. It was a message from Mr. Daniels. At first, I assumed it was about the complaint, maybe some follow-up thing or apology. I opened it. It said, "Hey, this is probably inappropriate, but I just wanted to say you're an incredible mom. You handled everything so gracefully. Would you ever want to grab coffee sometime?" I stared at my phone for a full minute, my brain refusing to process what I just read. My first reaction was anger, then confusion, then, honestly, a weird, creeping sense of fear. Like, why was he messaging me? I didn't respond. I took a screenshot and closed the app. My hands were shaking so badly that I almost dropped my phone. The next morning, he'd sent another message. "Sorry if that came off weird. Just thought we had a nice vibe when we met. Hope Evan's doing okay." I can't explain the disgust I felt. Not because he asked me out. I mean, I've been single for years. It's not like I'm opposed to dating. But this was my son's teacher. The man who dismissed him, made him feel small, made me feel powerless in front of him. And now he wanted coffee. That same day, I went to the school office and asked to speak with the principal again. She looked shocked when I showed her the screenshots. She kept saying, oh my God," under her breath and told me she'd handle it internally. I should have felt relieved. But instead, I walked out of there feeling watched. I don't even know how to explain it. Like every time I checked my phone, I expected another message. That weekend, Evan had his first math test with his new teacher. He came home grinning, waving his graded paper. B+. He was so proud. And for a few minutes, I actually forgot about everything else. Then, that night, while washing dishes, I noticed a Facebook friend request notification. From Mark Daniels. I froze. I hadn't realized until that moment that I'd never blocked him. I deleted the request immediately, but my heart was pounding so hard I had to sit down. I kept thinking, what if he sees me at pickup? What if he says something in front of Evan? That's when I decided to deactivate my Facebook entirely. It sounds dramatic, but it gave me a tiny bit of peace. Still, I couldn't stop thinking about it, the audacity of it, the timing. He waited until after I complained, after my kid was moved, to reach out to me like that. Was it some twisted attempt to prove he wasn't the bad guy? Or was it something else? I didn't tell Evan. He's been through enough, and the last thing I want is for him to think any of this is his fault. But every time I look at him now, smiling and carefree again, I feel this quiet, burning rage, the kind that simmers just under your skin. Because someone tried to use him as a way to get to me. And I can't shake the feeling that this isn't over. After that weekend, I started noticing things that maybe were always there, or maybe I was just paranoid. Every morning drop-off felt heavier, like I could feel eyes on me from somewhere. Sometimes I'd catch a glimpse of Mr. Daniels across the parking lot. He never approached me, but there was this faint, almost smug half-smile when our eyes met, like he knew something I didn't. I told myself I was imagining it. I had to be. But one Thursday, I was running late dropping off Evan, and as he hopped out of the car, someone tapped on my window. I flinched. It was him. He leaned down slightly, that same too-easy smile on his face. "Hey," he said, like we were old friends. "Did you get my messages?" I remember gripping the steering wheel, so tight my fingers hurt. "That was completely inappropriate," I said, voice shaking. "Don't ever contact me again." He just blinked, like he hadn't expected me to call him out. Whoa, I didn't mean anything weird by it. I just thought. Stop. Just stop. Evan was walking into the building by then, and the thought of him seeing this made me sick. I rolled up the window and drove off. My whole body was trembling. I pulled into a side street a few blocks away and just sat there, crying into my sleeve. That night, I told my sister about it. She's a lawyer, older by 5 years, and she's always been the rational one. I expected her to tell me to calm down, that it wasn't a big deal. Instead, she got quiet, that lawyer quiet that means she's already building a case in her head. "Save everything," she said. "Messages, screenshots, dates. He's crossing professional lines." I didn't want drama. I just wanted my son to feel safe at school again. But I did what she said. I started keeping a little folder on my phone with every piece of proof. The next week, I got an email from the school's HR department asking if I could come in for a follow-up conversation. The tone was formal, but not cold. I brought my screenshots. When I sat down, the HR rep, a woman in her 50s with kind eyes, said softly, "I'm so sorry this happened. We've spoken with Mr. Daniels. He'll no longer be teaching at this school." Just like that. No explanation. No apology from him. Just gone. I walked out of that building with my heart racing. Relief, yes, but also this eerie emptiness. Like the ground had shifted under me. That night, Evan asked casually, "Hey, did you hear Mr. Daniels quit?" I froze for a second before managing. "Yeah, I heard something like that." "Why?" He shrugged. "Some kids said he got another job. Guess he didn't like it here." I wanted to tell him everything. Every creepy message. Every time I'd felt that sick twist in my gut. But what would that do except make him feel unsafe? So I just nodded. For a while, things went quiet. Weeks passed. Then months. Evan's confidence came back. He started tutoring younger kids after school. He laughed more. The house felt lighter. And then, one night, around mid-February, I was scrolling through a local Facebook group, a community page for parents. Someone had posted about a new private tutoring center that had opened downtown. They were praising a math teacher there who was so patient and dedicated. The name made my stomach drop. Mark Daniels. There was even a photo, smiling beside a whiteboard. Same eyes, same posture. Like nothing had ever happened. My first instinct was anger. Then I read the comments. People tagging each other, saying things like, "Oh, I should sign my kid up." Or, "Finally, someone who cares about teaching." I closed my laptop. My hands were shaking again, but it wasn't fear this time. It was fury. Because I had done everything right, reported him, brought proof, trusted the system, and he just moved on. Like it was a blip in his week. I called my sister again. She sighed when she heard his name. "He's probably not under any formal disciplinary record if they handled it internally," she said. "Schools do that to avoid bad press. So he gets to start over? Just like that?" She was silent for a moment. You could warn people. But it might open a whole thing again. That night I barely slept. I kept replaying everything. That smug smile, the Facebook messages, the way he'd said, "We had a nice vibe." I felt like screaming. By morning, I'd made up my mind. I wasn't going to post some angry rant. But I did message the group admin privately, sent her the screenshots, explained what had happened. I told her I wasn't asking her to do anything, just to be aware. She replied a few hours later, "Thank you for sharing this. You're not the first parent to mention something." That line hit me like a slap. Not the first. I asked her what she meant, but she said she couldn't share details for privacy reasons. Still, it was enough to confirm what my gut already knew. He had done this before. Maybe not exactly the same way, but close enough. For the first time in months, I felt both vindicated and sick. I told no one else. Not even my sister. Not Evan. I just carried it. That knowledge that sometimes people like him don't get punished, they just relocate their damage. But it also changed something in me. I started paying attention to the way adults talk to teens, the way teachers or coaches cross little invisible lines, too much praise, too many personal comments. I used to assume good intentions. Now I don't. Sometimes, that makes me sad. Other times, it feels like armor. A few weeks ago, Evan got his acceptance letter to a summer STEM program. He ran into my room holding it up like a trophy. "I did it, Mom," he shouted. I hugged him so hard he laughed. I wanted that moment to erase everything else. Every sleepless night, every fear. And maybe it did. For a while. Because now, when I think back to that whole mess, the fear has dulled into something else. A strange kind of clarity. Like the moment after a storm when everything's still dripping, but you can finally breathe again. I still don't know what exactly Mr. Daniels wanted from me. Control, maybe. Validation. Something twisted that had nothing to do with me at all. But I know this. He underestimated me. It's been almost a year now, and every once in a while, I'll still see his name pop up somewhere. A tagged photo, a mutual friend suggestion, a flyer on a bulletin board near the grocery store, Mr. Daniels, math tutoring for all levels. His smile always looks the same, approachable, trustworthy. And I wonder how many people have looked at that face and thought, he seems nice. I used to want to tear every one of those posters down. Now I just walk past them. Maybe that's what healing looks like. Not forgiveness exactly, but a kind of exhaustion that feels close enough. Last week, Evan and I were sitting at the kitchen table doing his geometry homework. Well, he was doing it. I was pretending to help while Googling formulas under the table. He looked up suddenly and said, "Mom, do you ever think people change?" The question threw me. I asked what he meant, and he shrugged. Like, when someone's a jerk, or they hurt people. Do they ever stop being like that? I didn't have an easy answer. I still don't. I told him I think some people realize what they've done and try to do better. But others just learn how to hide it more. He nodded slowly, like he was tucking that away for later. Then he said, "I'm glad you complained about him, you know. Mr. Daniels. I heard stuff from other kids. Like, he was weird with a lot of people." My throat went tight. What kind of weird? He hesitated. Just too friendly. Especially with girls. Complimenting them, asking about their weekends. Stuff that made them uncomfortable. I wanted to scream. Instead, I just said, "You can always tell me those things, okay? Always." He smiled a little. I know. After he went to bed that night, I sat in the dark living room for a long time. There's a kind of silence that follows certain realizations. Heavy but clean. Like your mind finally stops arguing with itself. 4 months, I'd been angry that my complaint hadn't stopped him, that the system had just passed the problem along. But maybe that's not the point. Maybe the point is that I said something. That I didn't let him make me small. I used to think of strength as this big, loud thing. Standing up, making noise, being unbreakable. But it's not. It's quieter. It's sitting across from someone who made you feel powerless and saying no. You don't get to do this to me. There's a strange power in simply refusing to stay silent. Still, some nights I'll wake up with that sinking feeling, like I'm missing something, like there's still danger somewhere I can't see. I'll check the locks twice, scroll through my messages, just to make sure there's nothing new. Trauma leaves habits, I guess. But then I'll peek into Evan's room, see him sprawled across his bed, one arm hanging off, breathing steady and safe. And I remind myself, we made it through. A few days ago, I got an email from the school asking if I'd be willing to join a parent advisory committee. I laughed when I saw it. Me, the woman who once cried in the parking lot because a teacher had made her feel like she was overreacting. But I said yes. The first meeting was small. 5 parents, 1 counselor, and the principal. We talked about communication, grading policies, parent concerns. When it was my turn to speak, I told them that sometimes the issue isn't the kids, it's the adults who forget how much power they hold. The principal met my eyes and said quietly, "You're right." And for the first time, I believed her. Afterward, walking to my car, I felt something loosen inside me, a knot I didn't even realize I'd been holding for months. I don't think I'll ever know what was going on in Mr. Daniels' head when he sent that first message. Whether it was arrogance, loneliness, or just entitlement. Maybe all 3. But it doesn't matter anymore. Because this isn't really about him. It's about me and my son, about learning to trust my instincts, even when people try to make me doubt them. About realizing that standing up for yourself doesn't always feel heroic. Sometimes it just feels messy. There's no clean ending. No perfect justice. Just a mother who refused to stay quiet. And maybe that's enough. Last night, I finally reactivated my Facebook. I didn't do it to scroll or post. I just wanted to see if I still felt afraid. I didn't. His profile was gone. Maybe he blocked me. Maybe he moved. Maybe life just carried him somewhere else. I stared at the empty search bar for a long time, then closed the app. Evan walked in holding 2 mugs of hot chocolate, balancing them like a waiter. "You okay?" he asked. "Yeah," I said, smiling. "Better than okay." He grinned and said, "Cool. Because I need you to quiz me on triangles again." And just like that, life went on. Smaller, safer, quieter. But ours.